Why don't we fall still together?
Okay.
Om Paramatmane Namah. Oh, very good. Oh, over to you.
Oh, okay. Well, on the subject matter on the table about the online program, we talked to our board. Our board has like 8 members. We talked to us 2 senior classes that we have. One has about 15 students, the other has 5, and we had 12 out of the 15 and 4 out of the 5. So we kind of laid the scenario to them. There was a little bit of a surprise element. There was confusion as to why this is a discussion point. And Manish and I tried to explain to the best of our knowledge, because none of us on this conference made that decision. So it's really difficult to put our finger on the pulse. So we had lengthy discussions. The board actually had a 2-hour discussion. So did the 2 senior classes, had lengthy discussions on it. I guess at the end of the day, we're looking at the school almost like a vehicle. I always say it's a vehicle for self-discovery because it helps us on that path. And the key word is self, I guess. And it's material, because without the material, the school wouldn't exist. And the material, without London School, the New York School wouldn't exist, so on and so forth. So we owe a lot to the institution, so to speak. But it also, the path also includes other tools in the toolkit. It includes the chanting, the meditation, the satsangas, the summer program, the study group, and of course, underlying all that is the good company. So if you put all of that into the mixture, the team kind of decided perhaps we should stay the course the way we are, have the school continue as is. The online program brings a lot of benefits. It brings access to a higher level material, access to more global exposure to other students and to better tutors. But end of the day, they have to give up what the school has brought to the table for them over the last 30, 35 years. And that's a very hard decision. So they kind of voted for, I shouldn't say kind of, they did vote for staying the course as is. But the question on the table is, can we, because it's really hard for us to divorce ourselves from the New York School or the London School, because I think that's what I heard, that if we don't go to the online program, we are pretty much on our own. Is that
I think that's
what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a very hard decision for us because, as I said, we owe a lot to the Griggs for having started the school and the New York and the London School for having provided us with leadership.
I think that there's one element you haven't touched on yet, which really outweighs all of the particulars that you mentioned, which is and it does come through London, it does come through New York, but it's really the being under the care and guidance of a master teacher.
Yes. The students in Rochester haven't had a lot of, except for Heidi and Kuldeep, who go to the satsangas on a regular basis. I've been to one, and this gentleman, Richard, who's been to twice. They haven't had much contact with the school, whether it's the New York school or London school.
I understand. So you're asking them to, in a way, act on faith, or maybe they've gotten some feeling about it, but fair enough. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes. So that was the point. We talked about the living master, the concept that we had discussed in our past meeting. So hence the very long meeting. We went through, what is in the best interest of the students who are attending the classes. So that's exactly the reason why we let the students decide, get a vote on this. And they kind of decided that status quo, I guess that's the way I would put
Fair
it,
enough.
to have the
And
school continue.
mhm.
Yes, as is. The only other item that was discussed at fair length was, because why can't we have some kind of a hybrid model? Why can't the leaders take an online course and have a mandatory attendance of satsanga at the New York school, which would have been the case if the school had reported into Mr. Steingart. That would have been the
I'm sorry, you're
requirement.
breaking up just a little bit. Please repeat that last what if?
What if the leaders, including the tutors, take the online class and perhaps the leaders attend the satsanga at the New York school on a mandatory? Right now it's optional, but making
No.
it mandatory. So that gives us the required training, that gives us the exposure to the higher level material and other tutors, and exposure to the discipline of the New York school and the London school.
Well, let me take that back. So when you say the leaders, would that be the two groups that are now known as M9? Yeah,
No, we were thinking more that myself, Manish, and the tutors.
I see. So that would be, just to name names, Chrisanne, Heidi, Joanne, George, and Kuldip,
Yes,
in addition to those here. Um,
yes,
okay. So again, my purview and charge was really, I took it from the point of view that all of these conversations had already taken place, which obviously they haven't. I thought it was really more a mechanics of, you know, how are you going to be ported, so to speak, into an online setting. So these kinds of, the question that you're now raising, I again will go back to the leadership and I'll come back to you and see if that fits into the overall principle, which is being put forward and looking to be honored. It's
yes,
I feel it's out of my ken to really respond to that.
yes.
All right.
Okay. And then should we have another meeting next week, perhaps?
Well, let me
After.
see how quickly I can relay this.
Okay.
There's a fair amount going on these days with
I-
some looking at the next term and so forth. But I will, uh, as soon as I can, I'll put this over to the New York School leadership. Mr. Steingart may want to refer to Mr. I don't know where it's going to go, if it needs to go to London or what have you, and then we'll take the next step in the conversation. But it certainly will make it all deliver. And I don't want to leave you in. As an open question. We want to bring it to rest. All right.
Yeah. So, Manish, did I leave anything out?
No, and then Mr. Cross, just to add, there's a lot of things that we put on the paper. All the things that we had discussed as a way to prepare to have a very objective conversation about this path, this crossroad that we were on as a Rochester school. So if there's any additional background that we can help provide on how we were able to keep the conversation really objective, trying to get the students' perspectives with the intention that we are all looking out for them, want to do what's right for them, and then give them all the things that we have gotten from our conversations with you, all the things that we talked about. So if there's other things that we prepared that might be helpful in your conversation to give the context, then let us know. We can, certainly.
It's hard to. It's hard to say. I think you've done a fair job of giving me a report. Let me see if afterwards, and again, that's part of the delight of my not having to take notes and recording this. I will share this. It'll be, you've expressed, I think, very clearly. Maybe I'm missing something that someone else may want to probe on, in which case we'll rejoin the conversation.
Yes.
And maybe it'll be a larger group. I'm not sure, but let's see, and we'll take it a step at a time. Is that all right?
Yeah,
That sounds
sounds good.
very good. We're trying to follow the right process so that we come to the right decision point, but no matter which path we take, there's going to be change.
Yeah, I would just have to say that I understand that people are comfortable, and it would involve a little bit of change, quite a bit of change.
Actually,
Uh,
yes.
I wonder, apropos of something that I used the word faith before, um, to what extent it's possible to convey the substance. Again, it's not just coming under a hierarchy of a different setup, whether it's New York or London. There is a potency and a vitality to the material that's actually being studied, the practices that are being taken on now under guidance of people who have taken those practices. I remember in our last conversation, there was a little bit of a, well, what if we, you know, trained people for a term and then it's not just the students in my group, for example, which represent a lot of the leadership in New York, have been working, reflecting, um, Wiyatireka Anwaya, been working with Mahawakya, been working with, and not just, memorizing the Sanskrit, but really studying, reflecting, getting it into the being. There's something that's gone in. And that doesn't all happen, in a one-term coaching session. So one would hope that we really have some substance that we could convey to students to really help elevate the whole situation. How you would convey that to a group of people that are used to a certain setup and have found delight in that, and you're saying, well, that's good, but there's more, something like that. I have to trust that you did a fair job of that. If you'd want to go at it again with that impulse, it was to me noteworthy that of all the things you listed that you'd be coming under, you happened to miss until I reminded you of the influence of a living master teacher, because that's not just Shankaracharya sitting in a seat. When I say just, I don't mean to minimize it at all, but everything that flows from that in terms of the constant, ongoing immersion in that knowledge and in that way. Anyway, so I've said that again. If that led you to want to go back and have it at it with your friends again, your colleagues again, which I suspect you wouldn't. You've done your thing, but in the meanwhile, I'll take this back, and if you want to call up and start something, but wait. Otherwise, wait for me to, I'll initiate the next get together, and we'll see where we go.
Yes, I'll just wait to hear back from you.
Okay.
So we are at a juncture, and
Understood.
we just need to make a decision.
Very good. Look, if the intention is right, things will be taken care of.
Absolutely, it'll unfold itself.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. We'll bring it to rest. Good.
Yes.
Paramatmane Namah. Very good. All right. Enjoy the day. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
You
You
too.
too.